Hi everyone, this is Rob Watson, the module leader for TECH1002 Social Media Innovation. And this is the overview summary of the 24th lecture. Yes, the 24th lecture, it's the final lecture. We can all breathe a sigh of relief now. We've only got the last piece of coursework to do to occupy our time, as if we're not busy enough as it is. But this lecture is, remember I'd rejigged some of the structure of the lectures, so we've covered the report writing and the academic investigation and the critical thinking issues in previous lectures. So this is a kind of shunted along lecture, if you like, but it's still a pretty good one to get us thinking about what we might use for our report, the kind of issues that we need to cover. And this one is about collaboration and sociality. So, you know, we've been on this journey, haven't we, in thinking about, we started off, you know, looking at music and examples of music-based media and video-based media, and thinking about how they change, these patterns of music change through different versions of technologies and different kinds of social experience. And I think what was, you know, the most essential element of that is media has always been a social experience. So we have to think about, and we have to reconsider moving away from the mass media model that sees media as, if you like, as an encoding and decoding process and as a transaction, to seeing something which is socially negotiated and socially brought about. So remember the spreadable media idea, that what we do now is we share, and if it doesn't spread, it's dead, is the idea of content today, is that you share your network, your media content in a network of like-minded, similarly interested people. Now the danger is, and we've covered this in some detail, is that you end up in an echo chamber, and the algorithms that are produced by Google and Facebook and Twitter only reinforce your own personal echo chamber and those of your close associates, and it doesn't really allow you to expand and experience a wider range of views. So there's a kind of clicktivism, a kind of clickbait kind of mentality. So we have to step back from some of these things and be critical about them. Okay, so what we're going to cover in this session is kind of what the principles are of network-based media, how the idea of virtual communities has been thought about. And remember, you know, Howard Rheingold was the person who coined this phrase, the virtual community. But we're going to look at the idea in the context of, say, YouTube, as to how do we think about something like YouTube. And I know YouTube's changing in the way that they're promoting it and using it, but the fundamental principle is still there of kind of how do we, you know, remember we talked about Andy Warhol saying that we need to be cultural scanners, where we're looking at all of the kind of content that's available, and there's so much content, and we need somebody to help, and we need to be able to guide and help people to make sense of all this media. So we're not necessarily a consumer or a producer, but we might be a curator of media. So it's kind of a more participative approach, where we're sharing different kinds of content, and we're using content in a way which is broader and more interactive and a more playful way of undertaking and sharing content, which should, if it's used effectively, promote positive, engaged discussion. And so we want to think about, you know, what does that mean? So it's a social process that's going on, you know, kind of word of mouth, serendipity, finding things by chance. That, you know, these processes are, you know, it's kind of, we don't have to think, you know, we're not managers with slide rules and spreadsheets. You know, we're passionate about we're creative individuals who want to share a kind of engaged form of media. So kind of what is it that kind of gives us that sense of social curation, where we're bringing the things that we like together and we're sharing it with other people who have a kind of similar view. So this means that we need to think about, this is what Jones and Hafner talk about our attention structures. What is it we kind of, you know, we've talked about literacies, digital literacies, and what makes literacies effective, but we've kind of, you know, what are the kind of way that we need to manage our attention in this world? And this is kind of what Jones and Hafner talk about, is that the kind of what they call polyfocality. So it's the idea that you have to be able to scan and use and manage your attention in multiple simultaneous ways. And again, an electronic game, a video game, is really good idea of this. You're managing images, you're managing sounds, you're managing movement, you're managing data, you're managing characters, you're managing a whole range of things in a very dynamic and interactive kind of way. So our focus on how we manage this process and how we use our attention is very important. And like anything, there's a positive side and a negative side, and they're kind of having to deal with lots of different competing visual stimuli can lead to a techno stress and overload, but it can also give us a sense of kind of creative engagement and participation as well, which drives us forward. So what are the multitasking is the key issue. So it's kind of, what are the thinking tools, the cognitive tools that we need to be able to foster in order to be able to survive and thrive and prosper in this kind of environment. And Howard Rheingold says that probably the most important thing is a sense of mindfulness, a kind of sense of being grounded, a kind of sense of being able to calmly push aside the competing challenges and to look at something for it in depth, and to appreciate it for the kind of the fundamental contribution that our ideas and our engagement with one another brings about, rather than just thinking it's a hodgepodge of different kinds of things that we need to kind of constantly always be spinning plates, if you like. I've tried that. It doesn't work, not for long anyway. You can do it for a short time. So it's kind of, we live in a world which is always on. We live in a world which is demanding our attention. And how can we make sure that we are in charge of this process and that we get what we want out of it? Now, I really like what Howard Rheingold says about virtual communities. He says it's a bit like having, hosting a party. There's all these things going on, but a good host is somebody who's quite convivial and has thought about where people are going to put their coats, where they're going to have a dance, what they're going to have to drink, maybe where they go for a smoke outside, that kind of thing. The kind of skills, the kind of aptitudes to keep these conversations. How do you host a conversation? I think it's a really important topic and a really important idea for whatever form of media it is that we're engaged with and that we're using at any particular time. What it boils down to is the social nature of that use of media and the way that it extends and develops and grows conversations that then carry on in our real world interactions and are kind of part of the way of we kind of feeling empowered in our lives. Right, the notes for this are up on the DMU Commons wiki. Just go to wiki.our.dmu.ac.uk and look for the TECH1002 section. If you want to carry on the conversation, go over to talk.our.dmu.ac.uk, log in using the LDAP button and start a topic and get some conversation. See if we can use our online literacy skills to engage people in conversations. Right, I'll see you at the lecture.